This is the dark side of a real empath. You see, my favorite thing to do, and I can't say favorite, it was just my coping mechanism, was to put on a mask. I had them all. It's like Pokemon. Collect them all. I'd wear one mask over here with the married folk at church. I'd wear a different mask with the singles group. And I'd wear another mask with the, singles with children. And then I'd wear another mask with the people who like to go out and party and have a good time. And then I'd wear another mask. I mean, I had them all. And as a dark empath, I knew how to manipulate them and use them in ways that helped me survive. You see, I learned that my wounds and all the trauma in my life, the things that have happened to me, the things that I allowed in my life because of naivety or just, ignorance, all the things in my life that were not good for me, I had a mask for. I had a mask for them to learn how to move through the situation so that I can survive, not thrive. And so the dark side of being a real empath is that you never do thrive. And so I learned this in my healing journey, that all those masks that I was putting on, even though, it was part of my persona, the people couldn't figure out who I was. Some people think this way about me, but then when they would go talk to other people, they're like, oh no, Denise was never like that. I don't know what you're talking about. And then you go talk to somebody else and they're like, oh yeah, no, Denise wasn't like that at all. And they would get to talking and they would realize, like, we don't really know Denise. We really don't. Because I didn't even know myself. I didn't figure out who I was until 2024. When I had gotten off all the medication that I was on, I should have never been on. And I had gotten away from all the people who were manipulating me and using me and taking my energy. I got away from all that. And I had to find myself. And that's part of my healing journey. You have to do it yourself. You can't do it with anybody. You can't have your best friend on your arm while you're going through your healing journey. You just can't. Because you won't truly heal, because they'll be projecting onto you and you'll be projecting onto them, and you will never really learn who you really are meant to be. So it's been a long, lonely journey this past year in my healing journey, because I've been, on my own. I've been by myself. I've been fighting the fight. I have been through it. And I'm here to say, I made it. I'm out. And I'm here to share what I've learned. So I'm turning all the trauma and all the wounds that I've had into wisdom. I'm turning and transforming my life and my trauma into my real life story. And some of you who know me and know the traumas that I have been through are true. I never lied about anything. All of it's true. But I dealt with it in a way where I was just trying to survive and not thrive. And so I had to pick up all those pieces and put them together and look at the big picture. And I learned to do that through my healing journey. And it's just a real great insight into my suffering and how I had allowed all of this in my life. But I didn't know any better. I really didn't. And come to find out, even through this journey, and this was just thrown at me like a snowball to the face, that I have autism. I'm high functioning autistic. I'm AU ADHD. And I have been ever since I was a child. It's one of the reasons why I'm the oldest in my class. I was held back. I never really learned what I needed to learn because I went through a parochial school, which didn't really teach me the things that I really needed to learn and the help that I really needed to get that you probably would have gotten in a public school. And I was in a family that, they thought they were doing the best. They were doing what they thought was best. That's how they learned how to love, and that's how they're going to love, and that's what they learned. And that's the best you're going to get. And as a lot of Gen Xers can relate to that, growing up in an unemotional family, So without the help that I really needed, I was always grasping for something. I was always looking for something, and I was always putting on all these masks. I had a mask for here, and a mask for there, and a mask for this, and a mask for that. And I was just trying to survive, And then after I found out that I'm really autistic, and I started to grasp that concept and understand my brain thinks differently than others, and I have intuitive nudges that most people will never have because of my brain and how it's developed and the trauma that I've had in my life. And so I'm very grateful that now I know who I am and that I know how to act now. I'm only 55 years old, so I finally learned how to act. Act like a real human. So I do want to say, because a lot of people are asking, because I've been talking a lot about my book. And my book is done. As done as I can get it done. I'm just waiting on some finances to get things finalized, okay? And it will be out soon. But it boggles my mind because I wrote my book specifically for the people who need to read it, okay? So when I get messages from total strangers saying, when is your book coming out? They can't wait. And I get people saying, I want to buy your book in hard copy, or I want to be able to download these are total strangers. It boggles my mind that a total stranger wants to know my story. Because I wrote it specifically just for the people who need to read it. And I had a thought, in my mind, this is, I wrote it specifically for things to entail for healing for those that I love. And then so my counselor and my therapist, my editor, my publisher, my attorney, they're all like, Denise, everybody needs healing. Everybody needs this book. Don't you see that? And I was like, I never thought of it that way. So I'm excited about getting my book out. I don't know if it'll be great, wonderful, top 10 book or whatever like that. All I know is I wrote this book for my healing and for those that are very close to me in their healing journey as well. People that are in my life for a reason, my family, past friendships, co-workers, those types that, if they get the book and they read it, they're going to learn a few things about me that they didn't know. And they're going to heal because they're going to realize they've made a few assumptions that they shouldn't have. And, they're going to be checked. And I'm not out here to write this book to tell people off or to point fingers. That is not it at all. I've said that many times. I've actually shared in-depth details about my own personal healing and how, the people that were in my life affected that. And so I think that process is a great healing tool for me, obviously, but it's a great testimony for other people. You're going to see things that you're going to be like, I see that in myself. You're going to read things it's going to shock you, but you're going to be like, I've gone through something similar. And so I'm very excited, and it should be out. It was supposed to be out in November. It was supposed to be out in December, and it was supposed to be out in January. So it's coming. It's just, finances. You got to get all that in line, and it takes time. So, but other than that, it's done, and I can't wait to share it with you all.